Good morning. We are the members of the Unit 1, and we are going to present your PIA Physics Squad VR1 into your number. My name is Ricardo de León Gutierrez. My student ID is 1910-935. I am studying mechatronics engineering. In the project is interview in the project.
My name is Omar Alejandro Hernandez. My student ID is 2099306. I am studying the ES career and I'm going to be the historian in this project.
Thank you for your joining us today. We're going to take a step back in the time and exploring the story of the Kingdom Unit. To kick things off, could you walk us through how the UK was formed?
Absolutely. It's a fascinating journey. The formation of the United Kingdom wasn't an overnight event. It took centuries of political shifts and alliances. The story really begins with the Union of England and Wales in the 1536, after the Laws in Wales Acts were passed, bringing Wales fully under English control, but the most significant step came later in 1707.
So 1707 is when the UK really started taking shape?
Exactly. That's when the Kingdom of England and the Kingdom of Scotland officially unified through the Acts of Union. Before that, England and Scotland had been separate kingdoms, with their own monarchs, laws, and sometimes even at war with one another. But in 1603, things began to change when the King James VI of Scotland inherited as James I. This was called the Union of the Crows, but it didn't immediately merge the two kingdoms. It just meant that both had the same monarch.
That's interesting. So the actual political union did happen unity much later?
Exactly. Even though both crowns were under the same monarch, England and Scotland remained separate entities. Tensions between the two remained, especially with differences in religion and economic interests. It wasn't until the early 18th century that both sides agreed to the union. The Acts of Union in 1707 created the Kingdom of Great Britain, combining England and Scotland politically, economically, and legally into one country.
And what about Ireland? How does it fit into the story?
Good question. Ireland's inclusion is another key chapter. The relationship between England and Ireland had always been complex. In 1801, the Acts of Union brought Ireland into the fold, forming the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. This, of course, was marked by the significant tension, especially with the Irish population resisting English rule. Ireland remained part of the UK until 1922, when the majority of the island gained independence, forming what we know today as the Republic of Ireland. Northern Ireland, however, remained part of the UK.
So be the early 20th century, the UK had evolved quite a bit. How would you describe its role in the world during that time?
By the 19th and early 20th centuries, the UK had become a global superpower, largely due to its vast empire. The British Empire spanned continents and its influence was felt across the globe. However, by the mid-20th century, after both world wars, the empire began to dissolve, and many of the colonies gained independence. This marked a significant shift in the UK's position in the world.
It's clear that the formation of the UK was a series of gradual steps. What would you say is the most important takeaway from its history?
The key takeaway is that the United Kingdom wasn't just formed overnight. It was the result of centuries of political, cultural, and economic changes. Its story is one of integration, sometimes of conflict, but always of adaptation. And even today, the UK's relationship with Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and the rest of the world continue to evolve.
Thank you for that overview. It's fascinating to see how the history of the United Kingdom has unfolded over the centuries.
It's been a pleasure. History is full of twists and turns, and the formation of the UK is a perfect example of how countries and nations evolve over time. In conclusion, recording the interview about the history and formation of the United Kingdom was both a fascinating and challenging experience. It was an opportunity to dive deep into a subject with such rich history, and we really enjoyed presenting in a conversational way. The goal was to make the history not only informative but also engaging for our audience. We learned a lot about this and the history of UK. Some challenges that we had was organizing ourselves for having a good time for making the interview, but we solved these challenges and could record the interview.
Thank you for your attention.